Well, that's the reason sometimes I just come by and see you because I can't get a hold of you. But yeah, Cameron called me and said he'd talked to you.
Oh man,
And
We'll call the Lincolnton City Council meeting May the 2nd to order. If we could all rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And repeat after me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you've had a chance to look at the regular agenda. I do have one item to add to the regular agenda, and I want to add it prior to where it's item 5, first thing under 5, before Brian's presentation. Ryan Hebner, it's about the cost of the fire truck. That's just suspenseful enough, I'll leave it at that. But we'll talk about it later. But you've had a chance to look at it and seen the agenda amendment. Do I have a motion to approve?
I make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda items. You've had a chance to look over those. Are there any questions?
I've got one question about the ward map.
Oh, yeah.
I've not seen this. I've not seen it. Do we have that? What?
It had to include the annexation part that we did from the Star Town developments. Yeah.
It's in that room back there on the table. We do it like we do.
It's too big to condense down. But that's what it's included though.
What ward is that going?
North.
Yeah.
North.
And just so everybody knows, when we go through the census in 2030, it'll have to be updated just because of the population growth in that area.
Info. Okay.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the I'll turn it over to Chief Green for presentation for a couple of officers. I've already asked them what in the heck they were doing here, and they told me they didn't have any choice. So.
That's right. So, Mayor, myself and the command staff, this is Captain Painter, as you know, Captain Harris, and Major McAllister and Captain Potts. We've got 2 more certificates to present tonight. The last 2 months, we presented an advanced certificate each month, and these are for intermediate. So this is the second level of certificate we can get with the state. Officers work very hard. It's a combination of education, training, and experience that allows them to receive the certificate. But we've got 2 to reward tonight, and so I would ask that Stephanie Allen and Cody Smith come forward. So this is intermediate certificate to Cody Smith. Cody, congratulations. Thanks. You worked hard for it. Sir. Congratulations, Stephanie. I know you worked hard as well. We appreciate So, and Mayor, with your permission, we would like to hijack it for one more second.
Sure.
We've got one more presentation. If I could have Kelly Atkins come up here. We decided this year to start an Officer of the Quarter as well as an Officer of the Year. So the Officer of the Year will be selected from the Officer of the Quarter. Kelly Atkins and First Federal Bank has graciously sponsored this event, and they will sponsor a banquet at the end of the year. And so we're very proud to be able to do this. But we had a vote, or we had nominations. We had 10 nominations for the Officer of the Quarter, and 5 of them were for one officer. And so we're very proud tonight to award this to Tyler Biles. our first officer of the quarter. Congratulations,
Tyler, congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor.
And congratulations to Cody and Stephanie. And I'm going to take the liberty while we've got a little bit of a break here. This has been a tough week for law enforcement throughout the area, throughout the nation. And the ones that are standing before you are an excellent example of law enforcement and how lucky we are in Lincolnton to have such people. And just keep the officers that were killed and wounded in Charlotte in your thoughts and prayers.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is something that's near and dear to me, and Jill, I saw somewhere. Oh, Jill, yes. Jill, I'll turn it over to you about the Student Advisory Council.
Thank you for having the Student Advisory Council here tonight. We appreciate that. They've been standing outside, so they're filing in right now. As you know, the purpose of the Student Advisory Council is to solicit the opinions of civic-minded young people on matters that will serve their age group now and in the future. It also offers them an education in civic responsibility through involvement. As always, we have an outstanding group of students from the 5 high schools in the county. They're leaders in their schools, in churches, and in the community. They come up with some very thoughtful and mature ideas and show true concern for the community. Because of your support, students are learning how city government operates. They offer ideas to you, the council members, and to other government officials. And there is an added benefit that students get to know each other from across the county. They get upset because I make them sit with strangers, you know. But as members of Student Advisory Council, they select their own ideas, their own issues to address. They choose their leaders, and they learn how to conduct a meeting. They develop an understanding of what entity of government is responsible for what. Most people don't know that the county doesn't mess with roads, so they learn that kind of thing. They learn to brainstorm ideas, gather information, and they learn what it takes to get something accomplished. These are our future leaders. It is the intent that their accomplishments serve as lessons to develop better citizens who are willing and able to participate in local government now and in the future. Each of these students is different, but one characteristic comes up every year. These kids have heart. They're caring, and they're giving, and they're smart. I don't tell them that. And they're certainly what we want our future leaders to be. So we appreciate the continued support of the council and the mayor and city manager, especially Richie and Daphne. They're there, and mayor, they're there every time, every meeting. They're always there to lend support and to take care of the needs of the kids, and so we appreciate that. And the students always like to be able to say that they know the mayor. I'd like to introduce you to the students who are here tonight. Many of them, some of them have jobs. One of them just flew in from California, so she was a little tired. She didn't come. So I want to introduce you to the ones that are here, and y'all can just come up here, okay. From West Lincoln High School, Lily McCabe. Lily is a senior. You can tell us about your future plans if you want to. You have any plans for the future? Okay, Brooke Urey is not able to be here. Addison Wright. Luke Moretz. Adley Sutton. And Serafina. She's the one that just flew in from California. A school thing. Okay, from East Lincoln High School, Rachel Lynn is a senior. Sam Rayburn is a senior. Ryan Walsh. Bailey Fairball. Mabel Clark. From North Lincoln High School, Brooke Custer. She's a senior. Zoe Dellinger is a senior. Elijah Lindahl. Did Elijah get here? And Luke Haynes. Okay, from Lincolnton High School, Campbell Barker, Kendria Bynum, Julia Carpenter is a senior, Megan Carroll, a senior, Sarah Ryan, and from Lincolnton Charter, Kirsten O.C. I was going to try to say her name, but you can tell us your name, Kirsten. Kirsten. It's not like it's written here, so it's O.C. to us. And Zach Garner. Zach is also a senior.
Save the best for last.
That's right. He's here for his looks. Mayor?
Yeah, now that they've stacked them up in front of me, I can't even be seen. But I do want to reiterate what Jill has been saying. This year has been very special for me with these students. I've gotten to know most of them now for 2 years and had to put up with them for 2 years. But the reverse of that is they've had to put up with me for 2 years. So payback has been great. But would like to present each one of them with a little Lincolnton City Schools, good gosh, Lincolnton City Council. It's the city pen. And hopefully whatever endeavors they do, whatever lies ahead in the future, they will always remember their experience with the Student Advisory Council. And Lily, come here, hold the box for me. There's no hope. See you twice. You're the luckiest. And I think that they have a little thing that they would like to talk. Oh, Lily, I forgot. Whoa, Lily, she's there holding the box, looking at me, and I'm going, what are you doing standing here? And I don't know whether it's the best thing or the worst thing about this group is that my granddaughter's in it. So now a lot of them call me Grandpa or Poppy or whatever, and I threaten to kill them if they say it out very much more. But no, it has been a pleasure working with your kids this year, and I mean that in all honesty. It's something that I dearly miss, working with kids, because having a couple of former students here, my role as a principal was getting to know all of the students. And so that's a part. Now, most of the job, hey, I'm glad that I'm retired, but that part I really do miss. And it's a chance for me to bridge that. But each one of them, and I think they're going to tell you what their groups have done this year. And they have been some of the hardest working kids that we've ever had the pleasure of working with. And dedicated. Most of them are here every time the door opens. And that means more than anything is that responsibility that they have assumed. So I'll turn it over. Lily, are you going to start? Or? Okay.
I will say all the things you're going to hear that they've done, they started in September and are still working on them, but it's been a very short time frame that they've accomplished all these things. Go ahead.
Yeah, just come over here.
Good evening. My name is Lily McCabe, and I'm a senior at West Lincoln. I'm also the Student Advisory Chairperson. I'm very proud of what each group has accomplished and would like to thank everyone who came tonight. All groups had amazing things they wanted to do. My group, which is the Education Committee, we started something new at West Lincoln High School and hopefully other high schools soon. It is called the Fine Arts Student of the Week. It is the exact same thing as Athlete of the Week, but it recognizes different people who work just as hard. The following departments are included: visual arts, band, theater, chorus, marching band, color guard, winter guard, and theater design. West Lincoln has been doing it since about February. I talked to our principal and she loved the idea. I started by calling local businesses to see if they could donate something small to be added into the treat bag. Many answered and said yes. The treat bags have candy, a gift card, a free drink or slushie from West Express, and a handwritten note from their fine arts teacher. And to most, that means that is their favorite thing. I send out a Google form to teachers every Monday where they can nominate a girl and a boy student to be chosen. This has been something my school has really enjoyed. I have received many thank yous from the fine arts teachers and how they appreciate this action. I am proud to have started it, and I hope it continues after I graduate. The very first thing we did was a book drive for Amy's house for the women and children that are domestically abused. Our goal was to raise about 150 books for the women and children so they could rebuild their library and even offer them as Christmas presents. We called and emailed each school in Lincoln County, each elementary school, to see if they would be interested, and many were. They had a week to raise books suitable for all ages, and our ending total was over 300 books. We are grateful for what we were given, and we delivered it to someone from Amy's house, and she was ecstatic. Thank you to everyone who was involved and who helped.
Hi, my name is Adley Sutton. I'm a junior from West Lincoln High School. I'm here to talk about another event that Education Community has recently hosted, and that was a sand art booth at Special Olympics. The kids really loved it. This started as a goal beginning of SAC that we made happen by speaking to different local businesses about donating to afford this sand and other supplies. We raised over $350, and we had to make this list of everything we needed so we did not forget. After getting this money, we went to talk to Miss Daphne Ingram about how we could order our supplies. We used Amazon for everything, and it came in on time, luckily. And it was a great turnout, and we hope to make this booth a new SAC tradition. Great time.
Thank you.
Zoe is so shy, it's going to be hard for her to talk, but she'll try to make it through.
Hello, my name is Zoe Dellinger, and I'll be speaking on behalf of the Charitable Events Committee. First, I want to thank the City of Lincolnton and all the leaders for giving me this amazing opportunity to not only serve my community, but to grow my knowledge of government functions. I truly appreciate and admire what each and every one of you do each day. This year, my committee was able to accomplish many tasks. First, we organized a SAC-wide Hesed House volunteering event. We provided a meal, served, and socialized with residents. I'd like to thank Ingalls for donating all the desserts that night. And somehow, teenagers cooked all the food, and no one got hurt, and I was even told the food was good. Our biggest event we organized was the color run. There was great success in the past with this run, so we decided to try and bring it back this year. We were able to raise around $1,000 from runners and donations. We are presenting this money to the Hesed House this Monday at our last Student Advisory Council meeting of the year. Lastly, I would like to speak on the service opportunities SACS opens up to us. From trash pickup to the Christmas parade to the annual Easter egg hunt, we as students learn the importance of serving our community. My personal favorite was working at the Amy's Closet as they reorganized and reopened their new store. They did not waste any time putting me to work either vacuuming, organizing, cleaning, or even hanging clothes, and I loved every minute of it. They were hilarious and kept me laughing the whole time I volunteered. I was so glad to be able to help a great cause with such amazing and strong-willed women. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity to serve on SAC for the past 2 years. I cannot wait to come back to Lincolnton after college and continue to give back to my community that poured so much into me. Thank you.
I'm Luke Haynes. I was also on the Charity Events Committee. And for our first small thing we wanted to do, we wanted to replicate something that former councils had done. So our plan was to do Valentine's cards for the elderly community within Lincoln County and specifically Lincolnton. So I thank Zoe for contacting them. She reached out to all the elementary schools, high schools, and middle schools, and luckily some of them responded. They gave us Valentine's cards and later Christmas cards that we delivered all over the county to the Bryan Center and numerous other nursing homes. We also delivered about 400 Valentine's cards to the Atrium Center off of 150, and they really appreciated it. All of them got cards, and everyone was happy by the end.
Hello, my name is Kendria Bynum, and I'm a junior at Lincolnton High School. One of the volunteer things that we did for SAC was the Easter egg hunt at Betty G. Ross Park. So volunteers, they went to Betty G. Ross Park and they helped hide eggs, and they also assisted in entertaining children 5 through 7 through games. These community events proved to be very enjoyable for everybody, and they also provided great learning experiences for all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Campbell Barker, and I'm a junior. The first thing that I got to participate in was the Angel Tree program, in which we provided gifts to less fortunate kids, what they wanted the most for Christmas, and we provided to them. And thank you to Zoe for contacting them. And yeah, that's about it for that.
Okay, Luke, it's up to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Luke Moretz, and I am a junior at West Lincoln High School and a member of the Student Advisory Council. Many of the SAC members attended the Lincolnton Christmas party in late November. We were one of the groups at the very front of the parade, and some of us rode on golf carts while the rest followed behind, tossing out candy. We each wore Christmas decorations and had a great time making great memories. I'm also a member of the Public Events Committee, and this year we will be hosting the Movie in the Park on May 11th at First Federal Park at 7:30 p.m. We will be utilizing the new stage for the first time. We'll have multiple local food trucks at the event, as well as SAC members selling popcorn. We'll be showing The Goonies, and make sure to bring a lawn chair with you and show up a little early to secure a good seat. This is the second time that the Student Advisory Council is hosting this event, and we are really excited to do it again. We are inviting all members of the community to join us to kick off to a great summer. Thank you.
Brooke, you're going to kick it off?
Do what? Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Brooke Custer, and I'm a senior at North Lincoln High School. And this is my second year on the Student Advisory Council. I'm a member of the Downtown Development Committee. And my committee decided this year that we were going to try to accomplish bringing a very famous food chain to Lincolnton. This chain was Chipotle. We sent petitions to all the local high schools and received a few hundred signatures in support. We sent these signatures along with a letter to try and convince Chipotle to come to Lincolnton. We have not heard back, but we hope to soon have Chipotle open a location here.
Good evening. I'm Kirsten Navarez-Castellou. I'm a junior at Lincoln Charter. I'm on the downtown committee, and a project I'm here to speak on is the moving of the student memorial over at the education, or the Board of Education building. So the memorial is just in a rough spot. It's right under where all of the rain goes, so it's kind of just corroded and you can't really recognize the names. So when we found out about that, we wanted to move it immediately. So that's what we're doing next Friday. We're going to take up each brick hand by hand. We're going to scrub them and we're going to move them to the rail trail. So we're going to move it over to where the new park is. And I feel like this is going to be beneficial to everybody. If you're able to see these, this memorial, it's not, sadly, yes, they've lost their lives, but they're always going to be remembered. If you're walking down the park, you're going to be able to see these names and you're going to be like, wow, this student once lived. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Thank you, guys.
What's up? Hi, I'm Bailey. I'm a junior from East Lincoln High School, and I'm part of the Downtown Development Committee as well. I want to talk about a project that we did with Student Advisory Council that wasn't necessarily spearheaded by the Downtown Development Committee, but was very beneficial to our local area. And the way that I thought of it is development, the whole goal of it is beautification. And beauty stems from what people see every day. And the streets are a very common sight, and the litter is a common problem. So in the light of this, we took our Student Advisory Council for one of our meetings just before we started, and we took it upon ourselves to take a few streets and clean every inch that we could. Some were more passionate than others. Not trying to say anybody, but it might have been me. I went from climbing under trees to jumping in ditches and gullies and everything, and we got everything. From old tires to over 30 fireball shots. We keep count every year. We grabbed everything we could in an effort to pitch in a little towards keeping Lincolnton beautiful. Thank you.
While you're tell them about one of the other projects that you've been working on.
Are you talking about my Benjamin Lincoln Memorial? Okay, way to put me on the spot here. But here in the last year and a half, I'm going to do this really quickly. I've been working on a project that stemmed from a project that I just did in school. And really the whole effort was to get a grade. And I talked with Mayor Hatley and a few other people trying to get information for this project. And we wanted to create a memorial to commemorate somebody who has a lot of meaningfulness to Lincoln County. I mean, we're named after him. And it's not Abraham Lincoln, it's Benjamin Lincoln. Benjamin Lincoln was the guy who, at the Battle of Yorktown in the Revolutionary War, accepted the sword of Cornwallis when the British surrendered. It was kind of a spiteful thing done by George Washington, but in the end, it's still history and it's still worth commemorating. So since not a lot of people know that it's Benjamin Lincoln, me and my friend Jack, we decided to create this project to build a memorial for him. And we got 100 on the project, and it kept moving. Met with Representative Jason Sane. He came and visit my school. He came to visit my school, and I got a chance to present my project to him. And now we have a set line in the state budget to help afford this project, $130,000 towards our memorial and the landscaping and everything like that.
I'm not putting Bailey on the spot, but Bailey and Jack have done all of the work. I mean, we did nothing. They did the drawings. I met with them, with the memorial, the monument people. I have never seen kids that have more drive and have gotten more accomplished than Bailey and Jack. So thank you.
Thank you.
Zach, you're not going to say anything?
No, they just told me to look good today.
And I'll I'll miss not being able to pick on Zach next year. So hopefully he'll come back around so I can pick on him some more. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. There. Give them a second to clear out, because if I were them, I wouldn't want to hear the rest of this meeting anyway. Well, no, I would want to hear Todd's. Judge Pomeroy's. But and while we've got this little break, anybody that hasn't signed up to speak on any of the public hearings or for the public comment, if you haven't signed up, you need to do so now. Okay, next item on the agenda, I'll turn it over to Judge Pomeroy. And we're so glad that Judge Pomeroy is here to update us about a project that, gosh, how long ago was that?
So we're on our 8th month of treatment court. So pretty remarkable. I first of all just want to say I see people at their worst a lot. It's so refreshing to see these kids at their best, right? I mean, what a group of people, and very fortunate to see folks like that in here. I want to just add something to what the mayor said. The officers that were killed on Monday are people who protected our community, and a lot of people don't know that. I've met with those folks dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of times. So tough week in our office, and obviously tough week for law enforcement. Chief Justice Newby in the last several years has asked the court system to address the growing addiction problems that are facing our communities. So myself and my staff decided that we were going to implement a treatment court for Lincoln County. It's called a community-centered court. It is designed for Lincoln County residents who are nonviolent offenders who have addiction issues. We are comprised of law enforcement, probation, the district attorney, the public defender, treatment providers, mental health providers, and regular citizens in our community. And I certainly want to give a special thanks to Chief Green, Dwayne McAllister, and Matt Painter from the police department. They have been an integral part in what we're trying to achieve, and I'm very thankful for their cooperation and their dedication to what we're doing. So what we do is we identify people with what we call high risk and high needs. And these folks are struggling with addiction, and what we try to do is identify a plan for them while they're on probation and address them individually. So we deal with issues like housing, education, treatment, counseling, support, and kind of what you find is most people who have addictions have all kinds of other issues going on as well, whether it be grief from losing a parent or a spouse or a child. It could be abuse from when they were growing up. And what you find is that their heart wants them to not be addicts, but their brain is so chemically imbalanced from their drug use that they're not able to reconcile those two things. So what we try to do is we try to identify these folks, get them into treatment, and that can include inpatient treatment where we send them away. For women, we send them to Black Mountain, which is in Asheville. That's a 90-day program. For men, we send them to various inpatient facilities, and then we keep them for 2.5 years. They're in our program for 2.5 years. We meet with them every 2 weeks, and Jill is a frequent visitor, and I'm so fortunate, and our group is so fortunate to have Jill attend, because I think one of the things that we need is support from the community. We don't need financial support. We need resources support. We need to be able to find folks that we can identify who can help us in our court and help us with placing people. It may be, I think Jill can tell you, we struggle with housing, don't we? We talk about it all the time. We're very fortunate that we're getting some what we call sober living houses. Used to call them halfway houses. I guess they're sober living houses now, where we can place people. I'm very thankful for what Jill has done and the attention she's given it. I do want to emphasize that I know sometimes treatment courts can be controversial because people think you're not punishing anyone. I think Jill will tell you, if you come sit in treatment court, there's nothing, we're not skipping anything. We practice a very tough love in there. And I think what you will find is that when you bond with these folks who have these addiction issues, you build capital with them. And when you build capital with them, you find that they can be more successful. And we celebrate a lot of different things. We celebrate a day of sobriety. We celebrate a year of sobriety. And you have to learn, you know, I sentence people I deal with some really bad people sometimes. You have to understand that sometimes good people find themselves in bad situations. And we're trying to approach this from a compassionate standpoint, but also approach it from the standpoint of seeking results. The other thing that we do, and then I'll certainly turn it over to Jill for a second as well, because I think she can kind of give you an insider's view that is unique. But we visit these treatment facilities ourselves. We go and visit these folks that are in our program. I go to Black Mountain. We take them clothes. We take them food. We check on them. We call them randomly. Our system for treatment court is based on a phone. So when you come to treatment court, we provide you a phone. That phone then tracks everything that you do. You're required to check in certain times on your phone. And it's a good way of giving an addict responsibility. And it's a small responsibility, but y'all know this. We may forget our car keys. We may forget our wallet. We never forget our phone. It's with us everywhere. And what we have found is that phone system is a great way of providing accountability and responsibility. So Jill, if you don't mind, I hate to put you on the spot, but can you just kind of, would you mind just kind of sharing your experience?
I sure will. I want to commend you, and I've told you before, the compassion that I've seen, and I want to give you two examples of that. There was a mother there in court who had driven a distance, and Judge Pomeroy, for the betterment of the woman there, had to send her to be incarcerated and then go to Black Mountain. The mother was there. The daughter said, "May I hug my mother?" Of course, he said, "Absolutely, you can." And then as she was led away, he asked if the mother had anything to say. And my mother's heart just broke, because the mother said, she's going to be going through some withdrawals, and I want somebody to be able to take care of her and watch her. And he spoke up and said, "We will take care of her tremendously, so you don't need to worry about that." So I've seen the compassion. There was another when I first started going. Christine and I went to the very first one back in October. And I was going till I had my accident, and I've had to miss a few months, but I'm back at it. And but there was another girl who, in the time that I had missed, had completed her treatment at Black Mountain. Her sister was with her that day in the courtroom, and Judge Pomeroy asked the sister, "Do you have anything to say?" She broke down in tears, and she said, "I've got my real sister back." So that's the kind of thing you see. I just, it has touched my heart that people, as he said, the addictions are so strong, and in that court, they get their, if they need to be sent away, they are, but it's always done with compassion and with the goal of helping, and they won't help so badly. And so I would invite you to go anytime. I thought you really couldn't go to the courtroom, but Judge Pomeroy wants you to come tomorrow. It is tomorrow. And it's usually around 10:30. I was late one day, so maybe be there about 10 or 10:15. And it usually lasts about an hour and a half or 2 hours. And your life will be changed. And you can go in, it's courtroom 2D upstairs, and anybody's welcome. And if that touches your heart, then I'd love to see you there. Can't be there tomorrow. We have a ribbon cutting, but I'll be there the next time. So it's a wonderful program, and if there's any resources that you have, you can get in touch with Judge Pomeroy. I'm glad that is something that is going on in our court system, and that I've gotten I mean, just in passing, we came out to the National Night Out, and you were talking about it there. And I don't know, it just touched my heart. And Vanessa and all of the treatment people who are there to help, I've never seen such kindness. I know you get aggravated with, or I do sometimes, with people making the same mistake over and over, but they are so compassionate and so helpful, and cry when they are sad, and rejoice, and give them little prizes when they have progressed. So something to be a part of. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I just want to add one other thing, then I'll sit down. It's also a veterans treatment court. We recognized very early on that our veterans in our community were not getting the services that they needed, especially ones who had addiction issues, coming back from overseas with all different types of issues. And though we don't have a veteran in our system now, that is a service that's available as well, and it's a service that's very lacking for a lot of people. And there's nothing worse to see someone who is, we had a gentleman in Shelby with multiple Purple Hearts, all kinds of citations from Afghanistan, and he had an addiction problem, and it was never addressed. And those are the things that touch you, right? Those are the things that, so my message to the community is we need your help, and the worst thing that you could do is not ask us what you can do for us. If we don't need you, we're not going to tell you that. We're just going to put you on the list of people we may need down the road. But we need things like clothing, food, and I'm not allowed to actively solicit that. I'm not allowed to do that because I'm a judge. But you can certainly make those contributions, or if you just have services you can provide us, we'd like to know about them. We need places to put folks. So anything that the community could do, we would be grateful. I'm grateful for the time. I've probably spoken too long. I'm grateful for our police department. Again, Chief Green, very grateful for what you've done for our treatment court. It does not go unnoticed. So thank you. Thank y'all.
I consider myself lucky to be friends with Todd and Becca, and have known them for years. And this is one of the best things that's ever happened to Lincoln County, because a lot of times people are in more need than just a stick is not necessarily the answer to everything. Sometimes compassion and treatment needs to be shown. And Judge Pomeroy, we appreciate you and everything you do for the county. Okay, next item. I know that you've been to Judge Pomeroy's court a couple of times. Did you have anything to add to?
No, I'm
comments?
just sorry I haven't been able to participate, but I plan to in the future. I'll get with Jill and probably start coming.
We love to have everybody.
It's fantastic. It really is. Thank you for it.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the public comment.
We have three. Alan Hole.
Okay, Alan, you got 3 minutes, sir.
Mayor, City Council, mainly first I want to, I've heard from Catawba County of what they were doing in the court system. Initially was with veterans, so I really appreciate the judge and others, and also what Chief Green is doing for city and stuff. But just want to also make it a kind of aware that the city council, y'all have a great power to have a blessing to come on the city or a curse, and I've kind of mentioned that before. But and also, if you don't take it serious, that you also be held accountable for doing evil. But the scripture talks about, in a sense, of a city on a hill as being example for other cities, and sometimes I know that Lincoln has that, and I'm afraid too many times sometimes we look at other cities in a way that we shouldn't, because they're not so good. But I also want to address that the first document is Declaration of Independence, And it declares that the law of nature's God, or our Creator, entitled them. And he said that we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator, which is Yahweh, with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. And the main thing I'm talking about here is the inalienable right to life. We've talked about children and things that's been going on in their families and drugs and all these kind of things. But also just happened this week in Tennessee that the governor signed what's called a Baby Olivia Act. And they're putting a video to all the school children. They can see a high definition ultrasound computer generated to see babies in the womb. And so that they can realize that this is not just a bunch of tissue or whatever sometimes they're lied to and told, but it is a human life, a human being. And abortion is nothing but murder. And Planned Parenthood has made $178 million from profits at killing 400,000 babies through just 22 and 23, and receiving an all-time high of taxpayer funding for doing this very ghastly deed. So I'm calling on the city council to make an ordinance to state that abortion is murder, and that persons ending abortion or pregnancy by abortion should be charged for murder, and that also that this video that's being shown in Tennessee would be also shown here in the Lincoln County schools. So they can understand and take it serious, and that realizing that sex is just not some activity, and there are consequences, and a baby in the womb is something that is an inalienable right. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Elizabeth Christopher.
Okay, Elizabeth, you've got 3 minutes.
My name is Elizabeth Christopher. I reside at 745 Brady Branch Trail. I was in a few months ago and made a complaint about my neighbor. Needless to say, it has gotten much worse. They always leave a trash can at the road. There's junk, there's steel, there's 3 non-driving vehicles there. There's old tires that is just mosquito and water infested. The building is so full of junk that you can't shut the door. There's an old Dodge truck in front of the building. There's piles of steel. At our house in the past 3 days, we have killed 3 copperheads, and they're coming from that area onto our property. The smell is horrible. I'm highly allergic to bees, so I'm so afraid that if something is not done soon, it's going to continue to migrate to my house. I'm not one to complain. I love to be outside. I work 50 hours a week. I want to be in my yard. I can't be in my yard safe if I've got this problem. So I would like and I've called the correct people. I did get 1 phone call back. I've called numerous other times, and I have yet to get calls back. Something has to be done. It's bad. The other issue that I have is my boyfriend works for AT&T, and if you pull up to the corner of Congress and Academy Street, that tree, you cannot see around it. This morning, he drives a truck with a tractor and a trailer behind him because he does directional bore. He literally had to pull out in the road. Somebody's coming. He has to back up extremely fast to get out of their way. The tree needs to be trimmed. You cannot see around it.
Where was that?
It's at the corner of Congress and Academy. It's the beautiful house. It's a gorgeous tree. But please, take care of your trees. Take care of your property. I want him to come home at night. And I worry every time he pulls out in the morning.
He's going up Academy to Congress, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you imagine the poor children at Gaston College that's trying to come out and pull out, trying to get to school? People from the walking trail trying to go home that way? That's an issue. It's safety. Thank you for hearing my concerns.
Thank you.
Can I just answer something for her real quick?
Sure.
I don't know if you remember, but we talked
I
before.
did.
So that gentleman has absolutely just told us, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not cleaning it up. He's left numerous angry voicemails, but I have the paperwork on my desk right now to take him to court. So we're going to be taking him to small claims court, and he'll receive a fine, which I know is not a lot, but it's the first step in trying to make him do something. But he has absolutely just said, I'm not cleaning it up. So we've had to go through the process. He's ready, and we're taking him to court.
Does he own that property, or he's around?
He owns that property. So, and this probably won't make you feel better, but when you take him to court, there'll be it's up to the judge what they do, but it could be up to $10,000. They'll end up putting a lien on his house. We'll start a new case, and then we'll just keep repeating it until the fines get to be, excessive.
Thank you for trying.
Jane.
Trent Mason.
Okay, Trent. Oh, your 3 minutes are up.
Any point, yeah. We'll pass this one time, right? Well, hey, council, I'm back again. Well, I mean, it's not like it's a monthly thing, so it's not like it's something new. Anyway, just want to come and I'm glad to see everybody's here. I mean, y'all have had so many ribbon cuttings that I'm glad you can figure out where to come back, to have a meeting here instead of being out there, for a new business, which is always a great thing when people want to move here and open business and invest into Lincolnton. I start wondering if Lita's scissors are getting dull at this point, and they're gonna have to probably replace them, which is, like I said, it's a great thing, right? I also want to talk about student advisory. I know they've already all left, but they've helped us as a young adult steering committee, and I want to say thank you to that group because we'll continue to bring them into our world and ask for their help whenever especially at the apple drop. They are the next group that takes over from us on the young adult steering committee, and it's great that they get to see the stuff a little bit beforehand instead of like it being the first time whenever they get appointed to our committee. And then the one thing I actually have something maybe to complain about for a second. Look at this, shocker. No, it's not. My road. It's about to fall in on itself. But at the same time, y'all updated the website. And you can now submit a problem online. I don't know who did that for the city, but that thing is amazing. So that's the new website for the city. Great job. Like I said, my assumption was Chris, sitting back there in the corner. He's pointing down somewhere down.
Laura. Yeah.
Laura, thank you for doing that. That thing is amazing. It was to be able to submit online, a ticket and say, hey, we have a problem, and somebody came out 2 days later. It's no longer people have to chase down voicemails. So, even though yes, my road is up. Y'all did a great job.
We had a council member that said we couldn't pay that road that he wasn't on here anymore.
Right? Hey, you know what though? We all love Todd. I mean, Todd lives he's my neighbor. Do it for Todd now. Do it for Todd. Also, this is gonna be a busy month. It's May. I know we're not gonna have food, beer, and wine on Saturday. But I know, Richie, thank you for taking everybody around for the steering committee and showing some other cities. I don't know if anybody else on council or mayor, if you got to go, get on the little short bus with Richie and go visit some other little towns and see what they're doing and see what we can steal from them and and introduce on our side. The other thing I also want to say, because I know the millions of people who are watching this, mainly my daughter, Caroline. She ran the 5K at S. Ray Louder over the weekend. Legitimately ran. Decided that she was just going to run 3.1 miles. Her dad was not ready for that by any means. That was very confusing of you can run that far. But she did it by herself and finished it in 31 minutes and 24 seconds.
Really good, yeah.
So, hey, look at that. I timed that one perfect. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Trent. How many people do we have? We need to decide whether to limit the time, the rest of these. I think it was 3. Okay. Next item on the agenda, I'll turn it over to Jean for CZ-1-2024.
Good evening. How are y'all tonight? So this project is located off of East Gaston Street Extension. The existing zoning, this purple color, is office institutional. And then this blue color is zoned R15, which is residential. It is located in the Special Highway Overlay District, which just means that along this border, there would be greater setbacks, sorry. The current use, it is a vacant lot, and the proposed use is to build 180 townhomes on this lot. This is just an aerial of the site. There's a Duke power line easement that runs through there. There's a creek that runs this way and a creek that runs down here. This is just a visual from the road off of East Gaston Street. This is a site plan of the property. Fire code, because it's 180 units, fire code would require 2 entrances or exits. Building code does not, and our ordinance does not. So there will be an entrance off of Gaston Street. There will be an entrance or an exit that connects to Wellens Street, which is an existing road. However, the fire marshal has agreed that since it's only required for the fire code, that they can put a gate at this entrance, and it will have what they call a Knox lock, which is a padlock that the fire department can access. Maximum density for planned residential development, which is what they're requesting rezoning to, is 14 units per acre. The density that they have here right now is 4.05 units per acre. They're leaving enough, they're following the, I'm sorry, I've got flustered listening to everybody else talk tonight. PRD requires that they leave 22.24 acres of open space. They're well below that on what they're required. So this is considered a low impact. They're gonna have 30-foot, if you see these gray areas, those are the streams. They're required to have 30-foot buffers along the streams, the 50-foot buffer along the watershed. The tree planting requirements, they'll have to plant 223 street trees. Final tree placement, we'll decide that when they get to the end of the project if it does get approved. The ordinance calls, because these are townhome units, 1.5 spaces per unit. They're providing 2 spaces per unit, and then they're going to add an additional 59 spaces for parallel parking. So the total spaces would be 419. This is a graphic that Richie helped me with. It shows what the expected revenue would be from this neighborhood. This top item, it does not include any revenue that would be created from sales tax, from purchases. It just includes real property, property tax, vehicles, tags, and that would be around $300,000. The lower chart, tap fees, meter fees, water revenue, and sewer revenue. This is a one-time fee. So the $190,000, that's not a yearly revenue, that's just a one-time revenue. But the top number, $300,000. These are the expected costs from the neighborhood, what we anticipate that the city would have to spend. Right now, this area is shown in the institutional office planning area. So that would not be appropriate for this development. But you can see this color right here, this dark green, that's mixed-use residential commercial that's neighboring, kind of adjacent to this property. And that would be appropriate for this area. These are planning areas that consist of high-density residential uses. So while the land use plan currently is not consistent with this, we feel like it would be reasonable to rezone or to amend the land use plan to the mixed-use residential use commercial. There are many, many conditions of approval. I'm not going to go through them all, but I'm going to touch on the ones that are important to the citizens that are here. There's some neighbors that have some concerns, and we've tried to address a lot of those concerns with this. So they would, like we talked about the gate, they would be required to have the gate. In addition, the HOA that's recorded with the Register of Deeds would need to outline the maintenance of the common areas, but it would include that emergency access gate. The construction entrance would be located on Gaston Street Extension. It would not be located on Wellens Drive. The site plan, or this is in the watershed area, they are showing their impervious area right now to be 9.96 acres, which is fine. But any changes to the plan, they would have to submit updated calculations. The fire marshal is going to require no parking signs required on all internal streets. Emergency access on that gate at Wellens, it needs to be constructed in a way so that cars can't go around the gate. The neighbors were concerned that people would try and bypass the gate and cut through. So that's one of the conditions of approval. It's just the standard comments from erosion control. They would need to submit a plan that gets approved by the county. NCDOT is requiring a driveway permit and an encroachment agreement, but they do not require any turn lanes or off-site improvements to Gaston Street. They said if they were to go over 180 lots, they would require a left turn lane. As you know, we always do look at the statements of consistency and reasonableness for approval or denial. So for approval, it's consistent based on the land use plan calls for us to allow for a mix of lot sizes in individual zoning districts in order to promote affordability and to promote innovative zoning to accommodate home ownerships. If you were to choose to deny, the statement says the land use plan states that we should try to reduce traffic impacts of development on adjacent thoroughfares and adjacent residential neighborhoods. Planning Board did vote on this 5-1 in favor of approval. So Planning Board recommends the following actions. Recommend an approval of the rezoning of the property from R15 and OI to PRD, approving the statement of consistency for approval, that the zoning would be effective once we had the signed conditions of approval, and that we amend the future land use plan map to show this parcel in the mixed-use residential commercial planning area. Do you have any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
What is the density of the neighborhood, like Wellington, that area?
Per acre. Those should, I can't tell you, I can't promise that they're all 15,000 square foot lots. We could look it up, but that's R15, which is 15,000 square foot lots. So that's about 3 lots and 3 houses per acre.
So the R15, I understand that zoning. The other zoning that makes up that piece of property at the top on Gaston, what is that exactly? I mean,
Well, you can do office institutional, so any kind of offices, medical offices, stuff like that, but it also allows for single-family homes and duplexes.
That's the area that's adjacent to East Gaston.
Correct. See the purple, the lavender area, East Gaston's here, and there's medical offices here, there's a rehab place, there's some doctor's offices. The place where you go to get your CPAP machine is located right there.
So somebody could go in there with duplexes?
In the purple area, you could make 12,000 square foot lots with duplexes. And then this blue area, you could have single-family homes on 15,000 square foot lots.
That's what it's currently zoned.
That's the current zoning.
Do you have any information as to what they're looking to sell these units for? Do you have any idea?
They have a presentation they would like to make, but I talked to them about that, and they said high 2s to low 3s.
What is the median sale price of a home in Lincolnton right now? I know we run those reports.
Yeah, the reports we've gotten from LEDA, and that's based off sales.
Sure.
305, 310, according to what month it is. But
so that would be an average price house for our community.
the ones on Startown, they were estimating those are going to be around 4 for the houses, and I think a little over 3 for the townhomes.
Okay. And the townhomes here on Pine Street, I think, sold from anywhere from $275 to $3.
All right.
Do you want me to bring the applicant up for their presentation?
Yes. If you would,
please. And if you have any follow-up questions with me, we can do this.
If you'll state your name, please.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, for the record, my name is Sean Gasparini. I'm here this evening on behalf of True Homes. Our corporate address is 2649 Breckenridge Center Drive. We're down in Monroe, North Carolina. I'm also joined by the guys from Merrick Engineering, our engineers on this project. First and foremost, thank you for your time this evening. We've had a chance to review the staff report. The staff has recommended approval. We've been before the planning board. The planning board's recommended approval as well. And I thought the staff presentation was very thorough. So I'll be concise with my comments this evening. Bear with me, I'm not a tech guy. Just a little bit about the company. Unlike many of the national builders who have come into our region, we are locally owned. All of our employees, all 350, and ownership, all live, work, and play here in the Carolinas. And we are privately owned. We're not a publicly traded company like those on Wall Street. Just a little bit of information about the company. Although we are local, we have gained some national recognition lately. In 2020, we were recognized as Builder of the Year, and this year, USA Today named us as one of the top places to work in the country. This is an aerial photograph of the site. It's the same one that staff put up a moment ago, but I do want to highlight a couple things here. much has been made about the adjacent land uses, and I think that's a critical component of the decision that you're making tonight. So to the south of the site, you can see the adjacent residential single family. We're bounded by 321 then, of course, the highway, and then you can see the industrial to the north of the site. So as I mentioned at the planning board meeting, rather, as I think about the land use pattern that's going on here, to me this screams transitional. And so to me, as you go from the single family up to the industrial, a townhome zoning designation would make a tremendous amount of sense as you went from one land use to the other, as opposed to having single family or something different on the subject side. As was noted, current zoning, the industrial and the office rather, and the R15 and the proposed PRD. One benefit, as you know, of the conditional zonings is that if approved, you are locked into that exact site plan, and so any changes to it would require a rezoning. So there is a great deal of certainty there, as well as with the stipulations or conditions that are placed on approval. Some additional benefits of a rezoning, in this case, there are the stream buffers, the perimeter buffers, additional open space, height restrictions. Those are all called out in the conditions that staff has put before you this evening. I do want to pause here for a second and note that as we've gone through the process, we have certainly tried to listen to the neighborhood's concerns and to mitigate those concerns as best as possible. Of course, it's impossible to address all of the concerns. To the extent we can, though, we've certainly tried. We have eliminated the entrance to the neighborhood utilizing the gate and the Knox lock. We've gone ahead and provided additional buffers, which we'll see in just a moment. On the site plan, they're called out, those 30-foot buffers. And then most recently at the last meeting, we were discussing parking. That's just a blow up of the buffer and the Knox lock. But the parking came up in the planning board meeting. And so we went back with our engineers and said, what if anything, can we do to address this concern? And so we're required by the ordinance to provide 270 spaces. We beefed up some of the streets, the right-of-way width, and we're able to provide additional on-street parking, and we got that number up to 419 spaces. So well above what's required. Lastly, some color renderings of our home elevations. And then just a quick overview of the process that we've been through thus far. The last thing I would note is I'm in a lot of cities and towns every week, every month doing these. And I've got to say, it's pretty awesome being up here. I come into town, Main Street's bustling. I come into the meeting, you're recognizing your public servants. We're hearing about the Student Advisory Council, and you can see why other folks would want to live here. And I hope that we can provide that opportunity for our home buyers. And if we're given the chance, we would very much like to be part of the community. Thank you for your time. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions?
I think so.
Thank you, sir. Hey. We'll go through the list of the ones that have signed to speak. Let me remind everyone before we start, it's 3 minutes.
Cynthia Kohler.
I know that was for me.
Yeah, it was.
You know, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and anybody who knows me knows I can say 1,000 words pretty quick. I gave you a packet. I showed you, I made pictures. I went to 4 different developments that True Homes did. I took pictures. The first Sunday I took pictures, it was raining cats and dogs. And to be fair to them, the ones that are mounted on paper is a neighborhood in Greensboro. As you can see, there are open ponds, there's drainage problems, there's these weird things sticking up on the corner. I showed a picture of that. I don't even know what they are. I'm not a builder, I don't know. All this pretty stuff that he just showed you is not reality. Not what I've seen with my own eyes and what you can see. Now, actually, I'm pretty tapped that he's going to put $300,000 townhomes in there, because that makes the price of my house go way up. Because let me tell you something. I visited one of the townhomes. I actually went in it. And the main bedroom was pretty good. But the 2 other rooms were so small, one of them was staged as an office and the other one had a day bed in it. Now, he's talking about all these extra parking places. Well, I measured. My Camry, which is a pretty average sized car, you cannot open the doors all the way up in one of their garages without hitting the walls or going through them, depending on which way you look at it. The biggest thing I want to tell you is this, as city council members, I'm, as many people know, getting ready to leave Lincoln County, not because I don't love it, but I miss my grandchildren. My daddy always told me, you leave a place better than you found it. And what you are seeing on those papers, I don't think is better than they found it. There's deer, there's all kinds of wildlife, and somebody slipped that there's an endangered species over there. There's wetlands. My neighbor at the end of the street said there's a family of 7 deer. Now, I know there's going to be construction there. That's fine. But all the neighborhoods around it have half-acre lots with nice homes on them. Why would you destroy that? So like I said, it's up to you. Do you want to leave Lincoln County better than you found it? Or the city better than you found it? Thank you for your time.
Randy Manshuk.
Good evening. I'm Randy Manshak, 102 Welland Street in Lincolnton. My partner Victoria and I have been homeowners in Wellington Park for a little over 10 years now. Our lot is 0.54 acres. Two things with this. One, the zoning of the parcel in question is consistent with that of Wellington Park, at least the R15 part. So looking at Wellington Park by the GIS, the values, average value is $425,000, and the median is $396,000. That's 24 homes in there. We've had new construction in there. We have a home listed for sale in Wellington Park for over $400,000. We've had new construction on Lithia Inn, just across from the neighborhood. They're listed at over $400,000. So the $300,000 price point is not consistent with Wellington Park. Basically, we have what I term a cram and scram developer, and with the construction that Cindy has pointed out, it's basically tissue paper and a little bit of saliva. The larger issue is, what can residents expect? We have standards. We have, the zoning is consistent. Zoning should be in harmony with the surrounding properties. It shouldn't be, a change shouldn't be detrimental to properties. As Gina said, the request is not consistent with the Lincolnton land use plan. So people see these things. They see where invested in a nice home, but at a whim, that can be taken away by devaluing that property with developments, housing projects such as being proposed. So we have an opportunity to give people certainty in what they invest in with their homes and properties. We're going to be here. We've already decided this is where we intend to stay. And I would hate to see what I've worked hard for 10 years, devalued by a housing project such as this. And I ask you, where you live, would you want 180 units like this placed next to where you have your home? I certainly don't. Wellington Park residents certainly don't. And I did ask one member of the True Homes team that very same question. And I could only take his silence as a no. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Ed Faggart.
My name's Ed Faggart, 108 Julia Drive, Lincolnton. I want to speak to the gate. The alternate entrance there is simply to be able to allow to have enough units in there to make the project economically viable. Let's think about that gate for just a minute. The gate will require ongoing inspection by the county, by the city fire marshal to ensure it's working right. That's an expense for the taxpayers that's simply being created so it can be an economically viable project for the developer. If that gate is not working, it's my understanding that it needs to be repaired, and I understand that the homeowners association would be responsible for that. Another option, if the gate is not repaired, is to simply block it open. That would open that entrance to development to traffic in and out of Wellington Park. And then if the gate was just blocked open, no action taken to repair it and reclose it, it's my understanding that it would fall to the city or the city attorney to enforce the conditions for the development and force the homeowners association to get the gate repaired and closed again. And we all know that years down the road, the priorities of the homeowners association may not be to comply promptly with the letter and the spirit of the agreement for putting in the gate. And again, if it was open, that would open that entrance to traffic. And as we've all seen in our travels around, if there's a dead section of road, oftentimes that attracts dumping, and you could go down dead-end streets and so forth and see appliances and trash and whatnot. So the second entrance that's gated off could be an attraction for that. So I would urge you to think through some of the long-term implications of that back gate. And again, it's simply to make the project economically viable. Then finally, I would ask each of you to think about your own travels around the city and how congested the town's getting, and to put that density, that additional density in housing, citizens and cars on the road, is that really what we want to do? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brian Kenyon.
Well, I've spoken in front of council a few times now, but I am a business owner in downtown, and I am also a resident of a neighborhood that will be adjacent to this proposed project if it happens. I've lived here for about 5 years now, and yes, I've come from an area where high-density development happened and the area became overbuilt. As far as this project goes, I am seeing this is a low-density development that's going in there. Could be a much denser development coming in there. And, I am actually in favor of this, even, I live adjacent to this, and it will impact my property and my property values. But we need this kind of a development to come to downtown for several reasons. For the businesses downtown, I hear a lot of people saying they want to have certain restaurants, certain kinds of stores. We need to have the right level of population. I certainly don't want to become Denver or Huntersville or Cornelius or any of those areas, but we need to continue to have good growth, the right growth, and this is actually a very low impact development in my view. Also, people have talked about, build single family homes. I personally would not buy a $500,000 house backing up to 321, and I don't think most people will. So you're going to wind up with something going on this property eventually, and the next request might be to rezone it as an Amazon warehouse or something of that nature. And I certainly don't want that, because that'll be daytime traffic, lights at night, all sorts of noise. And this is actually, in my view, a nice use for the property. Low density, lots of buffers. Most people aren't going to notice this. And with the traffic all going out on Gaston Avenue, you're not going to actually see very much to where I live or Lithia Inn or that area as far as traffic goes. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
James Baxter.
Good evening, Mayor Hatley and Lincoln City Council members. I'm James Baxter, Vice President of Mohegan Mills 1419 Gaston Street Extension. I'm asking you to deny the request to rezone parcel 89926. I will read a few items from the Lincolnton, North Carolina Land Use Plan adopted June 2nd of 22. This document is a statement of the community's vision for its own future and guide to achieve that vision through the year 2030. The view of the future expressed in this land use plan is shaped by community values, ideals, and aspirations about the best management and use of community resources. Residents of Lincolnton value the high quality of natural environment, the character and diversity of their neighborhoods, the proximity to Charlotte, Gastonia, and Hickory. Lincolnton adopted a slogan, near the city, near the mountains, near perfect. We don't want to be the city. In the land use plan, it says to provide for transition between large commercial developments and nearby residential areas by graduating the scale of development. That is exactly how the land is currently zoned. Traffic flow on the city's major commercial arteries is a major concern. Limiting the number of future curb cuts on NC 27, General Boulevard, etc., is a major priority. East Gaston Street Extension is a connection between both of these main roads, and currently has 0 properties zoned residential to connect to it. With an estimated 1,300 additional vehicles, it will be chaos. The land use plan also states to work with landlords of vacant and unutilized commercial buildings to develop strategies for adaptive reuse. Mohegan Mills closed its textile operation in May of 2015. We developed a warehouse operation to keep Mohegan Mills building from standing vacant. If you approve this rezoning request, it will hurt our business with the traffic it will create on East Gaston Street Extension. B.V. Belk from Charlotte is the owner of this parcel. Belk purchased it in 2010 and knew exactly how it was zoned at the time he purchased it for $120,000. 14 years later, he wants to sell it for $3 million. B.V. Belk is a rich real estate investor from Charlotte that wants to make a lot of money off of Lincolnton. If rezoning request is approved, all of these people moves to Lincolnton. It will not be long before the city of Lincoln realizes that the tax dollars generated from this development does not cover the cost to the city. Then you will raise taxes again to cover the money you put in B.V. Belk's pockets. All the residents in this room will be paying the price. Please deny this rezoning request. Thank you.
Mr. Baxter.
Flowers.
I'm Jim Flowers, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. The gentleman that previously spoke had a few numbers wrong. I work for B.V. Belk. B.V. did not buy the land for $120,000. It was not an arm's length transaction. My wife still owns a percentage of that property. Her grandfather bought quite a bit of land back in the 50s, mainly to bring a textile company down here from New England to provide employment for Lincoln County. He didn't do it to make money. He had actually started Lincoln National Bank, so he was not doing it really for the money. He was trying to help the neighborhood. The land has been in the family. My wife owns a percentage, like I said, of this. And BV is actually not getting $3 million. He's selling it for $2 million. So the previous speaker's numbers were a little bit off. Right now, the 46 acres is really a haven for homeless people. And I really enjoyed Judge Pomeroy's speech that he gave talking about helping the addicted. I have 4 boys, 3 now, all of them went through addiction, so I know what addiction can do to a family. And I was really impressed with the judge's speech. But this particular property right now, about once a year, we'll send people up here and put dumpsters out there, and we clean up. And this probably fills this room where the garbage, trash, cars, you wouldn't believe. We've sent it in to the police department. We have an active trespass ordinance agreement, and they go out there occasionally and they'll arrest or give somebody a citation, but like I say, it continues to just be a haven. So I think townhomes being there would be much, much better for Wellington than what's been there for the last 15 years. Again, I would ask y'all to consider all the merits of this project, and I would ask you to vote for it. Thank you.
Okay, Gene, did you want to summarize? Or?
Did you have any questions for me?
Questions of Gene?
Just one question to True Homes. These homes are going to be sold, not rented, is that correct?
Just that answer.
Yeah. We do have a rental program where we retain ownership of some units and rent some out. We could, if that is an issue, we could agree to a covenant, condition, and restriction restricting rentals. But I'd be happy to do that. Okay. Very good.
Hey, any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to either approve or deny the request. Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, I'll entertain a motion to either approve or deny the request.
I make a motion to deny the request.
Motion by Roby to deny the request.
I'd like to have some conversation about this piece of property. When I was on the county planning board.
Is there not a vote on the table? I mean.
We have a right to discuss it before.
We had a question about your motion.
It's mostly a question about the development. When I was on the county planning board, we had a fire at a development, and there was only one way in and one way out, and it wasn't as big as this one. And after that happened, and the public that lived in that small community came to the county commission and talked to them about it, and we on the planning board agreed amongst ourselves we would never let there be just one entrance and exit to any large development. And I consider this a large development. It's not a small few homes. So that really concerns me.
There is a second exit to the property.
Well, there is, but by the time the police could get there or someone to unlock that gate, who knows how long that would take.
The fire department unlocks it.
Fire department.
Well, I hope if there's a fire, they get there pretty quick.
They'll get there.
The Knox box, the fire have a special key that opens that thing when they get there. So.
Okay, Roby has made the motion. All those in favor, and his motion was to deny the request. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. The request has been denied. To be consistent with our land use, I'll also entertain a motion to approve the statement of consistency for denial.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Is that 3-1 or was it?
It's 3-1.
Yeah.
Both, yes, okay.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is, I'll turn it back over to Jean for ZMA-1-2024.
I'm just gonna wait a minute and let them so clear.
I really hate that you put that down. I would like to see.
That would impact where you live a lot too. That would be the way in and out to work. Yeah. Richie, can you do a little something? I can't see the audio. The glare.
Are we all getting
The glare off your head. Can't you put something on there to tone it down a little bit?
Not shave for 2 days.
Do what?
Not shave for 2 days.
Fireman coming in. I hope there's not a reason to be alarmed. Okay, Gene, up to you, ZMA-1-2024.
Okay, so this property is located at 125 West Water Street. Y'all may remember it as the former Lincoln Times building. It's currently zoned residential office. The applicant is requesting to rezone it to central business. And this is just a regular zoning map amendment. It's not a conditional zoning. It's approximately 4,200 square feet. The adjacent properties are commercial and largely central business. If you see this pink color, those are all central business properties. The background on this, and some of you may remember this, is in 2022, Anderson Properties purchased this building, and they wanted to put 2 residential units in it. So they came before you and requested to rezone to RO, which is residential office. And so the current owner just wants to rezone it back to central business to make it more compatible, to have a wider variety of permitted uses. And that is what it probably should be. And there's just an aerial showing it in our pretty new parking lot beside it. Street view. Just another street view.
It's the old times.
Mm-hmm.
Is that John Anderson?
It was. There's somebody else that's purchased it.
Somebody else.
So currently, the rezoning of this property to the central business would be consistent with the intent of the land use plan. Like I said, this is a copy out of the land use plan, and you can see it's already in the central business planning area, so it is appropriate. The statements of consistency for approval, this is consistent with the land use plan strategy to work with the landlords of vacant and underutilized commercial buildings to develop strategies for adapted reuse. It's reasonable because the building is immediately adjacent to central business on all sides, so the rezoning would be reasonable. If you chose to deny this rezoning, I literally could not find a reason in the land use plan for you to deny it, so you would just have to say that you don't view it as desirable in this area. Planning board did vote 6-0 in favor of approval, and planning board does recommend approval of the rezoning of the property from RO to central business and approving the statement of consistency for approval of the rezoning request. And the applicant is here if you have any questions for him. But I will say, I learned recently in our ordinance that on these regular zoning map amendments, it specifically says that you can talk about all the uses that would be allowed there, but we can't talk about the one specific use. Like if he has an idea of what he wants to use it for, he's not to show you graphics or say this is what I want to use it for.
That was going to be my question.
No, it literally says it in the ordinance. The petitioner shall refrain from using graphic materials or descriptions before either body, except for those that would apply to any use permitted. But when it comes to the specific proposal, we're not supposed to talk about it. Because you're approving it based on the fact that you would allow all 100 and something uses in central business at this location.
Glad you said that, because that was going to be my question. Thank you.
But Chris Kilby is here if you have any questions for him.
Nothing to add. Happy to answer any questions that y'all.
But I can't ask you the one question that I wanted to ask you, so never mind. Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the I need to close, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Christine, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request.
Make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Gene, just stay there, and it's ZMA-2-2024.
Okay, so this is gonna be familiar as well. Well, maybe. I don't know if you remember any of these cases. So this property is 442 Buffalo Shoals Road. It's currently office institutional, and the proposed rezoning is R25. Let's go back. So that purple color, the hospital is here. On this large lot here, that's the hospital. And so these two purple lots are also OI. Back when the hospital was coming in, a lot of these properties rezoned to OI, I think with the intent to maybe sell to the hospital. And so a lot of these people that rezoned are asking to be rezoned. I think we've done 4 so far back to R25.
Yeah,
So there's just an aerial, so you can see the location to the hospital.
a lot of people thought that there would be additional doctor's offices in that area.
I thought the same thing. That's just a street view of his house. And so on this graphic I'm showing you, the one in red is his lot. These two blue that are surrounded in yellow and these two blue that are yellow, those are ones that have already went from R25 to OI and back to R25. So right now the land use plan has it in the institutional office planning area, but you can see it's just solo by itself in a sea of yellow. So we would recommend amending the future land use map to show it in the residential suburban, which is what all of these yellow properties are. So it's consistent with the land use plan or it's not consistent with the land use plan, but the reason we can suggest rezoning and amending the land use is that those institutional office planning areas are appropriate for new or expanded institutional uses, and a single family dwelling would be more consistent in a residential suburban planning area. And the rezoning would make the property more compatible with the surrounding area, as well as making the future land use map more cohesive. If you did want to deny it, it would just be that that it's not consistent with the current land use plan and it's not desirable in the area. Planning board did vote 6-0 in favor of approval, and they recommend approval of the rezoning from OI to R25, approving the statement of consistency for approval, and then amending the future land use map to show that parcel in the residential suburban planning area. Any questions?
No questions. Did anybody sign up to speak? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Roby. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now I entertain a motion to approve the request.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And Gene, we're getting to see a lot of you tonight.
Can I make a motion to get that air turned up one notch? I'm about afraid. It might just be me.
Look, Robbie, you don't see me fanning myself tonight. I'm actually a little cold too.
Oh, well, then we need to fix it. Gene's cold. I'm
I'm
always
never
cold.
cold, so I'm
always
appreciating
cold.
it. Okay, sorry about that. Let me get the right report.
Okay, next item on the agenda is ZTA-2-2024. Gene, it's all yours.
Okay, this is an application from Jason Cunningham requesting an amendment to section 153.117, which is the general manufacturing and commercial district of the UDO, to allow bail bond service as a permitted use. Currently, the UDO does not allow bail bond service as a permitted use. There were two bail bond services that were grandfathered in as non-conforming uses. And we've received an application requesting that they be allowed as a permitted use in the GMC district because there's a lot of GMC that's convenient to the courthouse and to the sheriff's office. GMC is designed primarily for general commercial and industrial land uses, including manufacturing, processing, assembly of parts and products. So we don't feel like adding bail bond service as a permitted use would compromise this zoning district in any way. So the planning board did vote 6-0 in favor of approving this amendment, and they do recommend approving the statement of consistency for approval of the application. And this is just what it would look like. Literally, the only thing that would change is what's in yellow. You would just it would be added under GMC as a bail bond service, as a permitted use. Those are the statements of consistency. So if you voted for approval, it would be because the change to the UDO gives property owners more flexibility in how they can develop their property. And if you chose to deny this, it would maintain the current development restrictions intended to protect the nearby properties. But we do recommend a motion like approving the text amendment. And the applicant is here if you have any questions for him or if he wants to say, I think he might want to say something.
Okay. The floor is yours. It's Jason, right?
Yes, sir. I'm Jason Cunningham. I'm the owner of U.S. Bonding Company. We've been servicing Lincoln County for 20 years. Unfortunately, I didn't know that there was an ordinance put in that started banning bail bonds. We were grandfathered in the downtown area. I'm the one that had the business downtown. We tried to move into the location we're in now years ago, but it didn't work out for us to move in there, or else we'd have been there for years now. The opportunity opened up. We moved over there. Again, I didn't get served any papers telling me that we were grandfathered in. There was no bondsman allowed to move, or else I would have stayed in my location until something was done. So because I wasn't served, I had no knowledge that anything was changed on us. It does make more sense for our location to be beside the jail. That's who we service. That's where we're at. There are times where we're up there late at night. Nobody wants to see somebody coming out of jail looking for a bondsman in the downtown area, so I can agree why you wouldn't want them down there. But with us beside the jail, it's late at night. That's where we're at. I also own an alcohol monitoring and a GPS company as well. So there are times that we're going to the jail, putting alcohol monitors on, or GPS if it is ordered by the court. So it just makes it more convenient for us to be there. That way clients can find us, we're convenient for them, and it just makes more sense for us to be allowed to stay where we are.
Any questions of Jason? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now I entertain a motion to approve the request.
I make a motion that we approve the request with the paragraph about consistency included in the approval.
Okay. Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, you're up for one more time there, Gene. ZTA-3-2024. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
So this is an application from Jennifer Gunter requesting an amendment to sections 153.030, which is the definition section of the UDO, and to 153.113, which is the central business district section of the UDO. Currently, the UDO, or she wants to allow permanent cosmetics as a permitted use. Currently, our UDO groups permanent cosmetics in with tattooing. It doesn't separate it as an independent use. And so she's submitted an application requesting that it be allowed as a permitted use in the central business district. There's been an influx of personal services in our central business district: beauty services, spa services, acupuncture, wellness. And so this use is complementary to those services. The purpose of the Central Business District is to permit the concentrated development of a wide variety of retail establishments, personal services, and professional and non-professional offices. Adding permanent cosmetics as a permitted use would not compromise this zoning district. So Planning Board did vote 6-0 in favor of approving the amendment, and they do recommend approving the statement of consistency for approval. But this is what it would look like. So currently, this is the definition, that tattoo studio, this is the definition, and it includes cosmetic tattooing. So we're asking that we strike out those words and make a new definition so that permanent cosmetics would be the application of pigments to or under the human skin for the purpose of permanently or semi-permanently changing the color or other appearance of the skin. Permanent cosmetics shall include, but are not limited to, cosmetic enhancement or restoration of eyebrows, lips, and hairline on the top of the skull, or for areola repigmentation post-mastectomy. And then there would be in bold another part of the definition that says, permanent cosmetics do not include body art, body piercing, or the adornment of the body with letters, images, drawings, or other illustrations. I just didn't want y'all to think that it was a tattoo studio. The eyebrows and the lip liner, all that is very trendy right now, and it's in high demand. And then it would add permanent cosmetics as a permitted use in the central business district.
What's the age limit on a kid going to having something done like that?
I think it's 18, but I'm gonna tell you what, Ms. Gunter is here and she's well versed in what those are. So let me finish on the consistency statements and we'll have her come up here and she can answer that. But I'm pretty sure it's got to be 18, but we'll see. But if you chose to approve this, the consistency statement would say that in the change in the UDO gives property owners more flexibility with their permitted uses, and if you chose to deny it, that it would maintain the current development restrictions intended to protect nearby properties. And then if you want, do you have any more questions for me, or can I have her come present, and then you can ask questions for whichever you need to. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Jennifer?
Hello, my name is Jenny Flowers Gunter. So I say that in a sense that Flowers being here for all my life. I am a licensed cosmetologist for 34 years. And when I started this journey on the permanent makeup, I didn't realize where it was going to lead me. And I have been one of those clients in that position where I needed the permanent makeup, brows. And because of my background, it was an interest to me to learn also and be certified. So I'm now certified to do these procedures. And I don't know if all of you have visited Lincolnton Suites on Main, but it's absolutely wonderful. And I leased a shop there from her, not knowing exactly what I was getting into with the coding. And so I'm there currently, and I would love the opportunity to add the service. If you don't know a lot about it, it is 18. You have to be at least 18 years old. There's a lot of paperwork that goes into it. There's a lot of knowledge and things that I've been trained in to, and also keep on file for many years after I see a client. In my profession and what I do, I think that this should be part of cosmetology, and it should be categorized in cosmetic art and not as a tattoo. If you do approve it, I will have to get a tattoo license. It's just the way it is. I will have a tattoo certification. But I myself will only be offering the services that's mentioned in that rewording of the code. Any questions for me?
14-4. And just to be clear, what are you currently doing at Sweets on Main?
I'm currently doing gel nails because I was, again, through cosmetology, so I did come salon certified, went through all that motion, and now I probably, if you approve, the service will be that there instead of the nails, because with cosmetology and North Carolina State Board, they don't allow cosmetic services with tattoo services. So my next step will be cosmetic art and trying to help get a little clarification better for that, in a sense of making sure that people are trained the way they should be to offer these type of services.
Okay, Jenny. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for me?
Any other questions? No, is anybody else signed up?
No.
Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion, close the public hearing.
Jill made the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the request.
Mr. Mayor, I make, excuse me, a motion to approve the application with the proposed consistency and reasonableness statement.
Okay. Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So once we turn 18, we'll probably visit you, Jenny. Now, does anybody need a break? Yeah, let's do a 5-minute break so that we can at least stretch our legs. We will Go ahead and reconvene, and we're down to an item that was added to it, and I'll turn it over to Ryan Hebner for a discussion about the fire truck.
Brief. We talked about this in budget, which was the fire truck we plan to purchase to replace our squad. The committee met, already had the spec ready and the contract in front of you at budget retreat, and I put out the details. Well, our representative called last week and said there's a planned increase that comes on May the 31st. So essentially, we've got a 29-day head start that if we sign the contract, it will save the city $65,000. To be a good steward of money, I felt like you probably should know that. So that's why I asked if we could put it on the agenda and get that ahead of you. If the intent is to purchase, then my recommendation will be that we move forward with it to save that money. If not, the truck contract still exists. So.
And that's a simple request because the budget.
And remember, this is a truck that will take 2.5, 3 years to get here.
Right.
So,
Yes, it won't be an immediate delivery by any means. So
Who sets that emission standard?
So part of it is emission, part of it's a planned quarterly
Increase.
Yeah, and they do this on a very odd schedule. There's no set time, but eventually we'll see it monthly. So, yeah.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and proceed with the purchase of the new fire truck immediately.
Let's do that. Yes, motion proceed.
Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item, thank you, Ryan. Chief, is Chief Green. And come on up.
Mayor, Council, I'm here tonight to ask permission to apply for the COPS grant. With the growth, the city had planned to add a position over the next few years to meet growth, but we want to accelerate that a little bit. We would like to ask permission to hire not hire 4 officers, but apply for 4 officers with the COPS grant. It'd be a total grant of $500,000. It covers a 5-year period, but it's a 3-year grant cycle. So basically, it gives you 2 buffer years if it takes longer to hire someone, which can be a problem nowadays. So you'd have 3 years ultimately to spend the money, but 5 years to hire the people within there. But it's $125,000 per officer. The purpose of the grant is to basically cover an officer for 3 years. It will not quite cover an officer for 3 years at our current salaries. It will be about 2.5 years it would cover an officer for the city.
I can say this much from Brian. Are we close to fully staffed?
Please, everybody, knock on wood. We are actually, all our officer positions are full, so we've got 2 that actually start Tuesday, and both of them are previous employees for the city of Lincolnton. One went to work for a family member, and the other one went to another department and decided to come home. So, but they are bringing some experience in that we need. In addition, we've got our graduates from BLET. They should take the state test on May 17th. And then we've got 3 that are currently in training that should finish training around that same time. So we'll start the process of basically getting these 4 officers sworn in and getting them through the training process. But hopefully by September, we will have everybody out of training, everybody is in a working position and a full house that is actually on the street and doing the job. So,
and I'll say this is the first time. How many years we've been on this thing? Road is 8 or 10 years that I can remember that we've been fully staffed by the police.
I don't ever remember.
We do have an admin position open, a civilian position. So, but it is nice, and we've reached it a few times over the years, but it's been short, and hopefully this will be an extended period. So
I remember one that I swore in, and I said, well, this gets us to fully staffed. And you said, oh, by the way, we had 2 leave today. And so I had to eat my words as quickly as I said it. But Chief Green and his administrative staff have really.
and they make my job easier. I couldn't ask for a better group of people to work with, and I've started to say 4 because in a lot of ways I am working for them, trying to make them better. But they really shine, and we've had officers that have worked a lot of overtime, as probably Pam can attest that our overtime has been quite large, but they work hours that, long hours. They come in on their days off. Things like that to help cover these shortages. We've got training officers that basically have not had a break. They've had a trainee constantly every few weeks, someone with them. So it will be nice for them to have some break and for us to be fully staffed. So.
Okay, I'll entertain any questions before we take the vote. I'll entertain a motion to approve the hiring program grant for the police department.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you
very much.
I complimented Chief Green, Chief Hebner. I honestly feel this way. The city is very lucky to have people in leadership positions like you.
Absolutely.
It makes our job much easier. Next on the agenda, David Ramsey. I'll turn it over to you about architectural engineering services.
Good evening, all. I know this is all something very near and dear to your hearts.
Well, that's the only reason why we met tonight.
I'll try to keep it short. I won't read every page here, but I'm going to read most of it.
Should we take notes?
Has it got pictures?
Roby.
There's pictures.
It does have pictures. In all seriousness, architectural and engineering on-call services is going to be very important for the city. We have a lot of times where something breaks, a bridge washes out, a culvert washes out, I think Tard's already left, but a main sewer line breaks, and we don't have an architect or an engineer on call that we can immediately call, get advice, or if we have something that's going to, like the Public Service Center, if we had engineers on call, we could have shortened this process by a month or 2 instead of having to put out RFQs and RFPs all the time. So anyway, we put out an RFQ I put out an RFQ for our architectural and engineering on-call services a month or so ago, and we had 16 companies which are listed in your packet. Out of the 16 companies, the committee and myself got together and went through all of, and that's what I brought in case y'all wanted to look at some of these. These are the ones we've chosen. If y'all want to see what they've submitted, they're really nice presentations. But anyway, out of the 16 that were submitted, we chose Becker Morgan Group. It's out of Charlotte. They're currently the firm that we are using to help build and design the Public Service Center. We've got Electrical Engineering and Consulting Company out of Wendell, North Carolina. We currently have Southeastern Electrical that pretty much designed our first substation when we redid it. And we have the thought of having another substation in the future, so we felt it would be good to have 2 electrical engineers on that we can check with. I'm sure you guys have heard us talk about McGill and Associates. We've used them in the past. They submitted to be on call, so we selected them. The Thrasher Group out of Gastonia. They've given me some other submittals from other projects that we have, so we chose those. And Withers Ravenel. They're out of Charlotte. They mostly do water, wastewater, water plants. We tried to choose people that had some specialties for municipalities, and most of these do. And I also listed the companies that we already have current relationships with. We chose those as well. So what I'm asking for tonight is for y'all to approve we're gonna have 9 architecture and engineering firms on call, so that it pretty much covers all aspects of city operations should something happen. So I'd ask for you to approve these for us.
Any questions of David? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the list as submitted.
So moved.
Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, David, and you're up again for a new vehicle.
Well, possibly. We put this in the packet. The fire department has done some searching for a new fire SUV vehicle. We found some at a dealership, and by the time we got this on the agenda and I got hold of Brent, said, hey, get me the specs on it. He got me the specs on it. I said, well, call them back, let them know, try to hold one. We're having our meeting. They're gone. They had 4 on the lot, 5 coming in, and they're already gone. So basically what I'm doing tonight is asking for your permission to spend X amount of dollars for a vehicle when we find a vehicle. We met with Enterprise, our leasing company, today. They also have Richie may have known this. I didn't know that Enterprise Leasing is one of the largest car dealers in the United States. Used car sellers. So anyway, they have a program that a dealership program, they can go through dealers and get these vehicles as well. And in order for them to do it, she called it a 99% buy, where we would pay 99% of the price of the vehicle. They would retain, she said, $25, $30, so that they can do it through the enterprise, through the leasing system to get us the vehicle, and then at some point we just pay that $25 for it to be ours. So they are in search of a vehicle. We did find 2 more in Long Island, New York, that were already upfitted, but they were $85,000 a piece. I called them to see if they negotiate, and they were sold. So I'm asking for permission to have $60,000 available to the fire department to say, hey, I found one, go get it, if that's feasible for you guys.
And this is in the budget to buy this vehicle?
Well, no. We have money, though, to be honest with you, that we can appropriate for it. It was not in there. We had a 2005 diesel truck that the transmission's gone in. The transmission would cost more than half of what the truck's worth. So for us, and we really can't wait on it. Poor Chief Hebner's driving a vehicle now that should be surplus. He allowed the captains to take his vehicle. And we just felt like, because this vehicle is going to last, or it's going to be in their department longer than what we would consider a lease, which is a 5 or 6 year program, it makes more sense to buy it outright.
Okay.
Yeah, but because of the additional money we've had come in, and also the extra money we've made off our investments, we can purchase it without really affecting the budget much.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of a new fire truck vehicle.
So moved.
Motion by Roby. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. All those guys said I wasn't getting out here safely if it didn't pass.
This is not.
If y'all have an interest in looking at any of these, I'll got them in my office.
Is this gonna be your personal vehicle now? I mean, you're not gonna use.
Mine?
Yeah.
No.
Well, Chief Henry said he could drive the one he's driving now, though.
I get the 2005 with a bad transmission.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next item on the agenda is what we've all been waiting for, and that's the presentation of the budget. There'll be no action taken. There will be a public hearing later on this month, and I'll turn it over to Richie.
And I'm just going to read the legal stuff so we can get that out of the way. I did leave y'all a cheat sheet and this is what we'll go over, just the meats of the budget. But Mayor, council members, thank you for allowing me to present this tonight. Pursuant to Section 159-11 of the North Carolina General Statutes, attaches the proposed operating budget for the fiscal year 2024-25. The budget includes 6 major funds and totals $34,669,933. I want to thank the mayor and council, all the management team and staff members who worked so hard to put this budget together. With the direction given to us by City Council at our March budget retreat, we created a budget that meets our needs day to day, but also includes funding for much needed capital projects. Once again, this year we utilized our strategic plan goals to drive the budget process in future projects. A public hearing for the June City Council meeting will be scheduled as required by North Carolina General Statute 159-12. At this time, comments and questions can be received from the general public regarding the proposed budget. City Council may have as many budget work sessions as they choose leading up to the adoption deadline of June 30th, 2024. And that's just to get us over the technical of things that need to be presented in the budget message. Like I said, if you look at the handout, I'll go through the funds. If you have any questions, let me know. But the public hearing itself will be in June, and the public will be allowed to ask questions at that time. In saying that, a copy of this budget will be in the clerk's office for anybody to inspect before that meeting.
Is that made public? I mean, do you?
Yeah, it'll be in Daphne's office. So any citizen that wants to look at the budget can look at the budget, and that's by state statute. Before I go in the general fund, I just need to remind you, we talked about this at budget retreat. That amount does include the Boger City Fire Department. We had separated that out the years before because it was actually recommended by the judge that handled the incorporation. But our auditors have told us it's really going to be hard to keep up with, and you actually over budget when you have 2 budgets. So we've moved those expenses to the general fund. So if it looks like it's a little more skewed than it has been in years past, that's the reason why that 1-point-some million has been added to it. As you know, there's no tax rate increase for this budget. Property tax revenue is estimated to be $7.3 million. The Boger City revenue is estimated to be right above $1.5 million. Sales tax revenue at $5 million. It does include the pay study Group A at $810,000. Retirement rate increases, and this has gone up over the last few years. It's consistently gone up. It's just because the cost of living has gone up. But we have to pay per employee $13.81 for our general employees, and that's a percentage that the city pays. And then for any law enforcement, we pay 15.17. So those have gone up 7% and 8%. And there's really no control over that. That's done by the state. We have allotted $236,000 to general expenses for capital. Most of that is for the wall and parking lot improvements here at City Hall. We also allotted $33,500 to the police department, $17,500 to the fire department for capital, $300,000 to the solid waste department for capital, and then $100,000 to the planning department for capital, and $200,000 to Parks and Recreation. And when we get to the next few pages, I'll go over what those amounts actually mean as far as what projects are being funded. We have a fund balance available of $9.7 million, which is 55% of our cost or our general fund budget. I would like to add, though, we do have some additional funds in the Boger City fund balance. Most of those were through the ARP funding that we received from the federal government and the state government. We're going to use that fund balance to pay off the fire truck that was purchased right before we incorporated Boger City. That was one thing that the board had asked, if we ever did anything with it, that we would pay off the truck that they ordered, so we will do that. Naturally, it saves us a payment as well, so it helps us positively in the budget. That general fund budget total is $17,482,008. To be honest with you, if you look at the Boger City Incorporation, it's only about a 1% growth over last year. If you include the Boger City part of it. Going on to the Water and Sewer Fund, we have a total budget of $8,983,500. Again, there's no rate increase. This is consistent with, I guess, the last 4 or 5 or 6 years that we've not had an increase in our water and sewer fund rates. We've allotted $167,000 to the water treatment plant for capital. We've allotted $510,000 to distribution collection for capital, and $135,000 to the wastewater treatment plant. And we've also allotted $284,000 to the new public services building project. We have a fund balance of $5.5 million, which is 58% of the budget. Electric fund, we have a total of $7,877,425. Again, no rate increase for our electric customers. And we've allotted $300,000 to the electric department for capital. Also, we've increased their system maintenance. That's where we do our tree trimming and any money that we may spend on primary and secondary lines. And then we have a fund balance there of $6.8 million, which is right at 87% of the budget. On the next page, our PAL bill. This is what we get from the state. When you go to the pump and you see the taxes, we get a percentage of that. It's based per gallon. It's not based off sales. So this has not grown much over the years. We utilize $327,000, or we get $327,000. We utilize $167,405 for paving of streets. That's part of our paving program. As you know, we have other monies that we use for that as well. We use $120,000 for the maintenance of city streets, and the fund balance available for that is $361,415, which is actually more than we spend per year. So it's at 110%. So if we go to the next page, we'll actually see a breakdown of the capital. As I mentioned before, City Hall improvements, that's $200,000. I will tell you, David has talked to several people. We think that's going to come up short. Once we find out what it's going to take to redesign that wall and shore up the parking lot, we'll come back to council. The Placer AI is $16,000. That is where we can geofence our downtown and find out where people are coming from and where they're shopping and where they're going after they leave downtown and other places. And then our records retention program at $20,000. For the police, we've got the electronic key bots at $13,000, the drug tracking K9 at $8,500, and the drone kit at $12,000. You know, some of that has already been spent, so we'll be able to utilize that for other things. In the fire department, the bumper for ladder 1 is $17,500. Solid waste, that's an automated leaf truck at $300,000. And then planning and zoning, that is a CMAQ grant match, and we may or may not spend that. We've had in the budget now, I think, 2 or 3 years, but that's $100,000. That is our match for that grant. But that is to get the sidewalk across East Main Street Bridge over 321. As you know, it's very dangerous, and the good thing about this is we have a small portion of what's going to be spent on that. The next page in recreation, $10,000 to replace the gym scoreboard, $15,000 for an automated gate, $17,000 for the sign crane and driver, $30,000 for pickleball courts renovations, $28,000 to paint the inside of the gym, and $100,000 for a playground at Betty Ross Park. As y'all know, we're also hopefully going to get a grant from Tourism Development. We've put in for a $50,000 T-Mobile grant to provide shade structures for that playground.
Have we got a gate down there now that's electronic?
Yeah, they've got one of them. And then also I think this was to provide one at Highland Drive as well. So we're kind of picking them off one by one. And then in the water and sewer fund, the water treatment plant, $30,000 for an HVAC unit, $20,000 for the number 2 pump, $22,000 for turbidity meters, $55,000 for actuators, and $40,000 for parking lot repair. Distribution collections, the Indian Creek gravity line, which we've talked about, is going to allow us to eliminate a lift station, $200,000. Jennings Street sewer line, $60,000. Highway 27 lift station panel, $50,000. South Cedar sewer, $150,000, and then manhole rehab at $50,000. And that's actually allowing us to do several manholes, not just one. At the wastewater treatment plant, there'll be $75,000 for digester number 3 piping, $30,000 for the SCADA upgrades, and $30,000 for a mower. The total of that fund is $812,000. And finally, the electric department. We've got $150,000 for substations and $150,000 for transformers. And I will make a note on transformers. That's if we can find them. But we're taking every opportunity when we find transformers to purchase them. That's why we've added to that amount. So if we do find them, we can purchase more than we traditionally would, because we're not sure when that's going to run out. We're hoping that the new bill that was passed by the federal government will speed up production, but there's no guarantee. Any questions on the capital? Or any questions about the budget itself? I would like to note, because we always try to look at other communities, and I know we've looked at tax rate and we look at services and so forth. But when I was putting together the budget and the budget message and so forth, I wanted to see how we compared to other cities as far as their valuation and our tax rate and so forth. And one of the things I found out is, like Belmont, for instance, we have a valuation that's right at 1.5 billion. I'm sorry. Belmont has a valuation of 2.7 billion. So when their city manager starts out with their budget, he's actually got $5 million extra dollars to spend than we do, and even though this tax rate's a little bit less. And they also have a solid waste fee. A lot of these cities have solid waste fees. We know that. I'm not worried about that. We'll do what we got. But I just wanted to mention, if we had the same valuation and the solid waste fee of these other cities, what our tax rate would be. If we had the valuation and the solid waste fee of Newton, our tax rate would be 33.3. If we had it of Kings Mountain, it would be 26.11. If we had it of Conover, it would be 34.24. And if we had the same valuation of Belmont and the solid waste fee, it would be 22.13. So it's really not apples to apples when we're comparing those. Their valuations are a lot more. As these developments come on, like the Startown development, as we see an industrial building go up on the Car Farm Road, we will be further up that ladder than we are now. But I just want to make that point, because a lot of times when we're talking, and I've had this conversation with David at the county, it's hard to compare Lincoln County to Catawba County, and it's hard to compare Catawba County to Gaston County, because everybody's made up different in the way our bases are. We do not have a industrial base, and that's huge. We have seen the housing cost as far as sales price go up, and that has made a difference, as we know. But a lot of it is our base. But I like to say, that's one of the reasons the Startown development, the Lincoln Meadows, will help everybody, because I said this before, the more people we get in the boat to row, the less rowing we have to do. So I think the future looks bright for the city. I want to thank y'all for all you've done as far as this budget. I want to thank staff. I send this down to Pam and her staff, and I get back a document. And so, and Daphne and Julie for all they do as well. But like I say, if there's any questions, I'll answer them. But mainly, most of the questions will be at the June meeting for the public hearing.
I got one question. Why do we have to have an electrical gate?
Well, the main thing is we have one person that locks up every park. I used to do it. Nathan's done it. But you're talking about right now, they lock up Betty Ross. On the weekends, they lock up the Welcome Center. They lock up First Federal. They lock up the bathrooms at City Park, and they lock up Highland Drive. If you've got an electronic gate, it will automatically close at 10 o'clock. The parks are at dark. The parks are supposed to be closed at dark. Therefore, somebody can get out, but they can't get in. And it keeps a lot of issues from happening before that person can get there and lock up. So that's the main reason. There's other reasons. I mean, the gates we have were aged. We're going to have to replace them anyway. It made sense to have them where they would automatically close. Another advantage is the police department can still get in there with a code or a remote, but nobody else would be able to get in there.
Have we got one at Hollywood?
I think it is automated now, yeah.
I know an officer usually has to go out there.
Yeah, they do, yeah, on the weekends, correct. But that's the main reason. It used to be when we locked parks up, we didn't have it really too. We've added parks, and as y'all know, we continue to improve our park system. So it's hard for that one person to get to every park before it gets dark and it's supposed to close. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not a something that happens all the time, but you do have issues with people being parked in there and trying to get them out as well. So.
Plus it keeps homeless and vagrants. And
Well, it's
people from occupying. I see that as more of a benefit than anything. It keeps homeless tents, homeless cities, because as long as you have a specific hours for your public parks, then you can restrict it.
Correct. Our parks are closed at 10 o'clock.
That's by law. Okay, thank you for that. We won't take action until we hear the public hearing. And when is the public hearing?
June 6th.
June 6th, okay. And let me remind everybody that we do have 2 meetings in June. June the 6th and June, it's the last week in June. So that if we do have any questions about the budget, we've got that built in so that it's a little bit of a cushion for us. Okay, next item up is the city manager's update, activity report.
Just a few things I want to go through. Naturally, our dates for May. Tomorrow, reminder, is the monthly recycling. Did want to mention as well, though, the Lincolnton Food, Wine, and Brew Festival that was scheduled for Saturday has been canceled because of bad weather. As y'all know, anytime you've got vendors, you've got people setting up tents, and there's so much planning goes into it. They felt like it was really better to go ahead and cancel now instead of trying to wait to the last minute. It's a lot easier on your vendors. I think that's going to be rescheduled for September 14th. I don't know if that's nailed down now, but that's the date they're looking at. Again,
I'm sorry. Which means that contract, which was under the consent agenda, would have to come back.
It'll come back,
because
yeah.
the dates will change.
Yeah. And also wanted to mention May 11th as the second Saturday shop local, but it will also be our first day of the Lincoln Social District. We met this week. We've been able to get our signage, our cups, and everything, so those will be put out. Would like to mention as well some exciting news. Gene put in for economic development growth grant from Electric Cities in our downtown. So we were given $10,000 to pay for a lot of these, the signage, the trash cans, and so forth for social district. So that's money that we're getting from Electric Cities for that. So that was great. May 16th, Employee Appreciation Luncheon. That's going to be from 11:30 to 1:30 at Betty Ross Park in the Lent Center. I welcome y'all to stop in. It's a drop-in, so we're not doing any type of presentations. We're just feeding the employees, thanking them for all they do for our citizens and us.
What's the time on that again?
11:30 to 1:30. And this is all, like I say, this is all in your packet there. May 23rd, Alive After 5. The act is going to be 20 Ride. There is Zach Brown tribute band, and everybody I've talked to says they are awesome. And May 27th, Memorial Day. City offices will be closed. As y'all know, we'll be running a holiday trash schedule that week. And also want to mention on that same day, May 27th, that the Memorial Day Veteran Ceremony will be at 12 p.m. In the traditional area that it's at on the court square. If you would, I've just asked that you turn to the city page, which is a couple pages over. You'll see Miss Daphne on the front of it. This is something that Daphne and Julie are putting together. We're sending this out monthly. We want our employees to know who's got a birthday, who's just been hired, who's been recognized. what Appreciation Week it is. And so I just wanted to go through, we have a ton of professional weeks in May. One of which is Municipal Clerks Week. As we know, we have an awesome city clerk. I cannot tell you, the mayor and I would probably turn the lights off and shut the door if Daphne left. So,
I'm sure we all agree.
But like I say, we are thankful for all she does. Again, in May you have International Firefighters Day. I think it's also May includes the police. It includes public services. We had Lyman Appreciation in April. So all these are done to show our appreciation, and that's why we're doing this luncheon, so our employees know we appreciate them and for all they do, not only for us, but for our citizens, and what an excellent job they do as well. If you'll flip over, it just gives a schedule of different things going on at Lincolnton and in the area. You'll notice a couple people caught on camera down there. One of which is Robert Pearson. He's in his happy place. He's on top of a water tank. But that's just something there again for our employees. The next page, I'd like to recognize people for what they've done. Bailey Braun, Lori Benfield, and August Christopher all successfully completed their Electric Cities customer service training. We'd like to single out Bailey Braun just a minute because she scored perfect on her exam. And they said that's the first time they've ever had anybody do that with Electric Cities. And then we got a picture of our utility department, and that's our true customer service department. Let's face it, a lot of times when they're seeing people they're not so happy, they do a great job calming them down before they leave. And next month we'll be recognizing Mr. Ramsey for completing the UNC School of Government MCA program. The next page is just some pictures of our public works guys at work. All the different things they do. Some interesting pictures there. It just shows you a little bit on just, like I said, just a few things they do out of all the things they do. And the next one's Parks and Recreation. We had our annual Easter egg hunt. Thank all the departments that came out for that. Mayor, you were there. It's always a great event. That event was started years ago by Betty Ross and continues today. And then, like I said, some special accomplishments and certifications. First, I'd like to mention Stan Hall. We had his retirement celebration, his 13 years of service. That was May 1st. Dylan Wolf, Advanced Law Enforcement Certificate. Peyton Christopher completed his BLET. Cody Smith attained Intermediate Certificate, and Stephanie Allen attained her Intermediate Certificate. We had those tonight. I also would like to mention a new hire. He's in the house. Brent Turner, Electric Utility Operations Manager. Where's Brent at? Would you like to say anything, sir?
You knew what that was going on.
Yeah. Just wanted to welcome you aboard, Brent. And that's the reason we have this, so everybody knows the new people we have. It lists the birthdays. One of the things I'd like to say also is we're doing like a kind of giveaway. We've had the electric department that got baskets, or maybe we take them a biscuit, and other departments. And we had a birthday winner that we give them a gift card. Cody Cherry was in May. We've got our anniversaries, one of which I'd like to point at is Donnie Berkey. We know him as Berkey. 35 years of service. So like I say, this is something we did years ago, and we wanted to bring it back. As I mentioned before, it was National Lyman Day. We went out and got some pictures and a care basket for them. Our safety award winners, we represent very well at the North Carolina Department of Labor Safety Awards. As you can see, you've got Daniel and Todd and Julie, Denise, Daphne, myself, and Nathan. As you can tell, I didn't get an award. They all did. But I stood in there anyway to get my picture taken. Next, we have our promotion ceremony for our sergeants. We had Dylan Wolf, Stephanie Allen, and Jake Brantley. And that is our city page. I wanted to show you what we're sending out monthly because we want our employees to connect with each other. So many times they're like a family within their departments. We always say that we spend more time with that family when we do our own. But we are one big family as well. No matter whether we're funded out of the general fund, water and sewer fund, electric, no matter whether we're in the police department or the public works, we are a true family. So this allows them to put a name and a face together, and also celebrate these achievements that they've had over the month. Just like I said, I just wanted to point that out. I'm thankful for Daphne and Julie for doing that, and we've got, like I said, they were working on care packages that are going out next week. So just something, that just to show our appreciation. A few more things before we leave. Just the homeless, the monthly homeless report is in there. Again, this month, our incident reports and charges were down. So I appreciate all the police department has done to control that. We definitely have seen the programs that we put in place are working. And other business, the Public Service Center project, we interviewed for the construction manager at risk. Those will be this month, and then we've already began our employee meetings to look at needs and space requirements. The streetscape project, as Trent mentioned before, we took site visits to Cherryville, Shelby, Kings Mountain, and Mount Holly. And next week we're going to Newton, Conover, Hickory, and Lenore. And if anybody wants to go on that, let me know. We did take a van last time. I'm not sure we're going to be able to rent that this time. But that was really good for everybody on the steering committee to see the infrastructure part of it and see how everything blended together. Different cities do different things, and there's no one correct way. But this is in my opinion, best practices when it comes to beginning a streetscape project. Lastly, on park projects, we will be applying for a grant with T-Mobile for $50,000. I mentioned that before, for the Betty Ross Playground. And then we should be ready to go to bid on the city park project sometime this summer. I would hope within a month or two. But those, like I say, those are just part of the package you have as the manager's activity report. Be glad to answer any questions at this time if you've got them.
The only question I have is, what date is it that our social district starts?
May 11th. That's on a Saturday. Now, once the signage goes up this week, that Thursday, technically by state law, you can, if you started, you would be okay. We wanted to do something that was more of a set date, and because we had the second Saturday shop local, we chose that date. It just made sense.
Executive summary.
That's it. Yeah, that's in your packet.
Okay. Any questions from the news media?
The fire department purchase of the new vehicle that you added to the agenda. Could you give me a number on that? Price of the vehicle?
Total of it. 60. The increase is 60. It would have been 65,000.
Right.
Yeah. Chief, is it 1.3?
1.4.
Okay.
So you're saving 65,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
By getting it before May 30th.
That number has
And it
gone
won't
up
be
considerably in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and it won't be ready for like 2 years or 3 years. It's to get our name in on the list.
City park project, could you elaborate on that?
Well, it's right now McGill, who is the architect engineer. They're putting together the packet for bid. Should be ready within the next month or so, and then we'll go out to bid for that project. And the estimated cost on that is about 4.5.
And the grand opening of the federal park.
Yeah, I've got dates from council. It'll be either toward the end of May or the 1st of June.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Roby. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.